Discord on Discord. Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me? Raise your hand if you can. Okay, excellent, excellent. Welcome, Hao Tiao. Welcome to Agora, Singapore. Today is 8th March. So it's like I think 8% or almost 10% of the year gone already. So how far have we traveled in our journey today? In Agora, we share, we learn and share together, then we can travel further and enjoy the journey better. Let us start with introducing ourselves. Each of you have 1 to 2 minutes. Tell us about something unique about you, and then tell us what you feel about this question. What is the difference between jokes, humor in a speech, and a humorous speech? What is the difference between jokes, humor in a speech, and a humorous speech? Let us start with Coach Rajo. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Raju. I'm basically from India and currently in Qatar. And public speaking is my passion. And I love interacting with people from various parts of the world and see how I can improve and how I can make some improvement in others. So that's my whole objective. Now, coming back to Bunpeng's $1,000,000 question, what is jokes, humor, and humorous speech? Am I right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, jokes are something which is when you're sitting with your friends and all that, you actually tell some experiences or something humorous what you have shared. So it's just like you have this stand-up comedians, they basically crack jokes, that's jokes. Now, humor in a speech means it can be a serious speech, but still you have some funny experiences in the speech, which will result in audience not in one direction, but to loosen up a bit. That's now humorous speech is something. A humorous speech also needs to have a message. It's need to have a message, and humor should be like this. It's coming. Like the basically the difference between joke and a humor is that in jokes, the time for a setup is quite long. But in a humorous speech, the setup is very short. Setup is very short because you don't want the audience to, and you need to have continuous laughters, one after the other, one after the other. So it evolves around a particular theme. And when the audience are expecting in one direction, you take them to another direction, which actually results in a humor. And let me tell you, humorous speech is the most difficult one, and it's also easy. It's easy when you have a right frame of mind. You don't take yourself too seriously. Then you can easily prepare a humorous speech. If you think it's easy, it's easy. If you think it's difficult, it's extremely difficult. Over to you, Bante.
Thank you, Coach Raju. I like to think it's easy, but I find it really quite difficult. So I'm looking forward to learning something from all of you this evening. Thomas, you go next.
Hi, I'm Thomas Tan from Singapore. My passion is eschatology, which is the science of knowing the future.
Wow.
And as for regarding jokes and humorous speech, I believe jokes are really designed to make people laugh. So there is a focus there. There is nothing but to make people laugh. There's really could not be any substance in it. It may not be anything to inform people about. But in a humorous speech, humor is actually weave in, maybe to lighten the whole speech or to refocus people. But it's not the main focus to make people laugh in a humorous speech. That's how I feel. Thanks.
Thank you, Thomas. Okay, Charan, what do you feel?
Good evening, Chairman and fellow Agorians. I feel a speech, if it's too serious, people usually switch off. And to keep it exciting for people to enjoy the amusement, which is in an amusing incident or something, they enjoy it. So it helps them to stay awake and be alert. So they absorb more in a humorous speech than something which is totally lacking and dry. Thank you.
Thank you, Charan. Brian, what is okay? Share with us about your passion first.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Lin. I live in New Jersey, outside of New York City. My passion is making new friends, listen to new stories, and have something that I don't know yesterday and I get today. So for me, learning is the passion. If you ask me what's the difference between joke and humor, I think the biggest difference is the spelling, because joke is Joke. Four-letter word. Humor is 5 letters. Joking aside, I think my definition of joke versus humor, joke is something that you prepare ahead of time. It has a definite structure. For example, something that you take directly from internet that has a complete story and that make people laugh. And humor somehow is something that you make up on the spot that is actually funny. And what is actually funny is something that put a smile on your face or make you laugh. And I think that's my definition. But how about a humorous speech? A humorous speech is a speech that you declare is going to be humorous at the beginning, even it may or may not actually be humorous. But once you declare it's a humorous speech, then it becomes a humorous speech. But I think it's good to declare something because that puts your intention out there. Because I think people's intentions are important, whether they're successful at the end or not. For example, if I said today I come here to give you my love, even though people don't feel you love them, but the intention of you giving the love to everybody at the meeting, I think that means something. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my, actually, there's no lady here. Surprise! March 8th, Taiwan Day still is the International Women's Day. And where are the ladies?
They've all been taken out to dinner. What about you, Brian? Where's your lady?
My lady is still
Mine's run away for 3 days.
upstairs, so she's not in the meeting because it's still early for us on March 8th. But hey, happy International Women's Day.
Yeah.
Gentlemen here. Back to you, Van Pen.
Thank you. Thank you. So the difference between humor and joke is in the spelling. Yeah, I like it, Brian. Okay. By the way, do you know that woman is actually a kind of man? Yeah, it's just a female kind of man. So they are still men. And International Women's Day, we celebrate as well. Good reason to celebrate too.
Sorry, Benpeng, for interrupting you, but every day is a Women's Day. It's the men who suffer.
You cannot spell woman without a man.
All right. Okay, Hao Tiang, introduce
Okay.
yourself. What is your passion?
Okay, good evening, gentlemen. My name is Hao Tiong. I'm a retiree aged 81.
Wow.
My passion is to be able to live every day in a carefree manner. And I need to maintain my current state of health. So I swim 3 times a day, 45 minutes each session. And at other times, I go for walks, and times I do cycling. So that's what I do to maintain my status, health status. When it comes to jokes to me are actually done by comedians, and some of them are actually very good at it. I'm awfully bad in trying to attempt to make people happy. When I was doing this Toastmasters speech, there are 2 manuals: the humorous speech and speech to entertain. When I look at those 2, I dare not try the humorous speech because it will go flat. I don't have any aptitude for that. But for entertainment speech, I think in order to have variation in the speaking style, I have actually attempted that, and I must say the outcome was not too bad. Thank you.
Thank you, Hao Tiong. Did I hear you correctly? You swim 3 times a week or 3 times a day?
No, 3 times a week.
A week, my goodness.
Pre-COVID, I used to do 6 times a week.
Wow, wow, wow. Okay, that's great. That's really great. Okay. Mike, are you up to speaking today?
Yeah, I'll give it a try. I'll probably cough in the middle of it, but yeah, I'm Mike. I live in Jakarta. I currently am at the end of a bout of flu, and hopefully will be gone by, I don't know, the way it's going at the moment, Friday. So I'm still in dire straits, but it is funny. Yeah, it is funny, because the older you get, the longer it takes to recover, I find. That's the one joke on my life that I found. In previous years, I also used to be a swimmer, a scuba diver, so I was swimming a lot and could bounce back. I mean, I would think, 1 day, 2 days, and you overcome every eventuality. But now it doesn't work that way. I have no control anymore. But anyway, the real important thing I think about humor is that we should never ever lose sight of it. Everything we do needs to have some humor added. Yeah, we need to do things because we enjoy doing them, not because it's a chore that we have to do it, etc., etc. And to encourage other people to participate. They're not going to come along if this is a dirge, and they're going to get depressed by being with you for 5 minutes. But if you can make it that it is fun and they will enjoy it, great. Yeah, make it entertainment. So that's my my view on life as I get older. So Hao Fyong, I am my goal is to look like you in 7 years' time when I'm 81. I feel like 91 at the moment, but I really am not. But you're looking in the prime of health. Back to you, Mr. Meeting Leader. Thank you,
Thank you,
Bangkok.
Mike. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, you made it. I'm very glad you did it too. From okay, thank you for sharing. I think definitely you will reach 80 years in 7 years' time, and you will be able to swim not 3 times a week, 3 times a day. Yeah. Okay, we have a young man from India, Ishan. Can you hear me, Ishan?
Yes, yes.
Okay, introduce yourself and share something special about you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Ishan Ahmed. I'm from India. I'm a student of class 9. So my thought about joke and humor. So what is joke? A joke, something said or done for and it's not in serious. As if you want to say humor, humor, a mood, especially a bad mood, a temporary state of mind or disposition brought upon by an event. That is humor. So that is thank you.
Thank you, Ishan. You switch off very quickly. What happened to your screen today? We cannot see you at all.
I have some problem my videos. That's why.
I think your camera is not very. Maybe you need to wipe the glass a little bit. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Ishan. I'm really very. I always look forward to seeing you. You are the future, Ishan. If you look around the room, you got people like me, Charan, Hao Tiong, and Mike. We are the past. The present is people like Raju and Brian. But the future is Ishan. So we hope to get a lot more Ishan in the room. And that's where we want to transfer whatever experience, knowledge, insight that we have gleaned through the many years of ups and downs, and to share with all the young people. And we are very blessed. We have this 80-year-old man by the name of Fred Jones. Some of you may have met him in Agora. He is from Canada, and right now he visited me about 3 weeks ago. Now he's somewhere in Nepal, going from different parts of Nepal, promoting Agora. So he has visited many schools, and he has started many Agora speakers club for the schools. So one day, I think Coach Raju and maybe Brian can also take a pilgrimage to some places and share the magic of public speaking, especially to the school-going children. Yeah. Okay. Now, I forgot to introduce myself because most of us know each other. So my name is Ban Peng. I'm from Singapore. I started Agora Singapore, and I have this great dream that I'm working on, that is to help people become the person they ought to be, in order that they may live the life they dream of. So that's one of the biggest problems today is many dreams die and die too early. And people's life, they did not fulfill their destiny. And it's not only they themselves that suffer. The ones who suffer is more than just this one person. The wife, the children, all the loved ones, they all suffer because the dream could not be fulfilled. So one of the ways we help them is through like what we are doing right now, sharing knowledge and experience and lessons to be learned in life. Shorten their learning curve, give them hope, give them a belief that things can be better, things can change. And if we keep on fighting, we can do it. So that's my mission. Agora is one of the platform we use to help people, and we are all volunteers here. Okay, so welcome again, and let us continue this journey. What is the next step? The next step is to share. I think just now I just heard Thomas say he is what is the word you use to describe yourself? Something about the future.
Eschatology.
Eschatology. Okay, as an eschatologist, can you speak to us for 5 to 7 minutes on this topic? What does the
If you
future
don't mind.
hold?
About eschatology. Well, eschatology is actually the science of looking into the future or knowing what is going to happen in the future. And I studied it from a Christian perspective, basing it on the Bible. And in the Bible, there are at least 3 books that actually talk about what is going to happen in the future. And one of them is, of course, the famous one is from the book of Revelation. And then there's also the book of Ezekiel and the book of Isaiah. So the book of Revelation is actually all jumbled up. So it's not really sequential. So that's what makes it a bit complicated. And then there's also the book of Daniel. So the message of the end time doctrine is actually hidden in the Bible. So it's not so clear that when you read it, you know what it's all about. And that's why it has stumped a generation of eschatologists, those who are interested to know what the Bible has said about the future and whether it's coming to pass or when is it going to happen. You must understand the book, the famous Bible, King James Bible, was written about 400 years ago. So imagine if you have gone in to read the King James book and you read the book of Revelation, it would absolutely make no sense to you. Because 400 years ago, there was no internet, there was no mobile phone, there was nothing, you know. So people read it for enjoyment. But as we move on, you find that slowly it's coming alive. All the messages is coming alive. I'll give you an example. In the book of Revelation, they say that during the end time, there will be 2 witnesses that God will send upon the earth. And this witness will be killed, and their body will be left in Jerusalem. And the Bible actually, you just visualize 400 years ago, he said that, the book said that. These 2 persons will be killed, and his body will be left in Jerusalem, and the whole world will see it real time. Now, if you have read this 400 years ago, you would think it's all garbage, isn't it? I mean, no way can anyone be seen throughout the world real time. But now you look at it this way. We have the social media, you know. We could have television crew right on site and showing the picture of these 2 men dead in Jerusalem. And this is broadcast right throughout the whole world, and everybody can see it. So you can see that there is some truth in that. But actually, you know, 400 years ago, it would have been impossible. And then they also spoke about how you must not take the mark of the beast, which is like, you know, so that you have the right to buy and sell. This mark of the beast is actually now you see as a digital coding, a barcoding that you can implement in your hand, either through a laser or through a capsule inserted in. So again, 400 years ago, if somebody told you that this is the mark of the beast, then they say, yeah, but you really don't understand. You can't even comprehend whether this will happen or not. But now it's a reality. So you can see from there that as the year goes by, the book of Revelation has proven itself to be real, to be correct. And so you can see that, yes, now the mark of the beast is near. Now the end time is near. And of course, one of the big players of all this, if you're a Christian, will be Satan and Jesus. These are the big players in this game of chess, as you call it. And the enemy, the Satan, knows that his time is coming to an end because God basically gives the world a certain period to exist. He actually called it 6 days. He gave the world only 6 days. And 1 day to God is 1,000 years. So 6,000 years will pass and then he will return again. So now we are actually on the 6th day itself. we are nearly the end of the 6th day already. And that's why, again, you can see the activity that's coming forward is more pronounced, is more realistic, and is more accurate. Does that make sense to any of you? So that is my 7 minutes up.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes up. So you have just 5 minutes. So maybe we open for discussion. This is so interesting. Okay, I'm not a Christian, so I did not read the Ezekiel or Book of Revelation or anything like that. So it's very new, and in fact, it's also very frightening that we are on the 6th day. And I can see Raju is not looking very hopeful because I don't know which part of the 6th day. Are we near the midnight or are we at the dawn of the 6th day? Okay, maybe we open for discussion. Mike, you maybe you know a little bit about the Bible. What do you feel?
I'm also not a Christian, but I have read in my youth. Welcome, Angela, our one and only female representative this evening. Thank you
Happy
for
Women's
coming
Day.
and joining us, old fogies. Thank you, Angela. So yeah, going back to my assignment. Yeah, I have gone through a long life of searching, and another time it would be a topic for a long speech. But basically, I think religion is everybody's business, and it is their own business. Yeah, I don't really agree with large-scale religious communities as such, whatever they are. I think it's really a contract between yourself and your God. And it probably is the same God for all of us, but it's a private communication. Yeah, it's a private discussion, a private concept. And I think, that, to me, that makes sense. I think when man first came on earth with woman, it was a blissful situation. And then I don't know what changed. Probably the fact that kids came along changed everything. And then you had more kids and it got more and more of a situation. But in the early days, yeah, people had a lot more flexibility. Yeah, I don't think much had been written in the way of holy books, whether it was the Torah, the Bible, the sayings of Mao Zedong or Confucius, etc. So yeah, I think people in bygone ages probably had an easier time, and it was more mysterious because they didn't know as much as we do. And now I think we're blessed with a overabundance of knowledge. So I can look at any religion. I read through Buddhism. I think, yeah, I agree with all of that. Yeah, when I read through Islam, I agree with most of it. I live in an Islamic country, 85% Muslims. And when I read Christian texts, yeah, I agree with what's there. And I think that's my understanding of religion. Yeah, it is my involvement in what is out there. Yeah, I don't feel pressurized to follow anyone. Anyone, I wouldn't say cult, that's a bit negative, but anyone way of believing. Yeah, so I think it's a personal choice. I do believe there is a God, there is a super spirit, other than Bampeng, but there is so much more that we can do in life. Yeah, human beings are born with an inferiority complex. I think we're all born with a chip on our shoulder that we are not good enough. And as soon as people can come in and help people get rid of that parrot on their shoulder telling them, no, you can't do this, you're not good enough, stop it, you'll embarrass yourself, yeah, the better. And that's what's so good about Agora. I think certainly with young people coming in there, and really showing them early that they can do this, they can deliver great speeches. Yeah, when we've had the Agora cons in the past, a lot of the winners have been young people. We don't in Agora distinguish age in contests. Yeah, everybody goes into the same contest, regardless of what age you are. And what was amazing, yeah, is that the fact that I think, I mean, the last the Congress last year, India, we had 12 positions. We had 4 contests, first, second, and third. Of those 12 positions, I think 6 went to under 18-year-olds. Yeah, and it's incredible. Yeah, there's so much good, good spirit and good ability. Yeah, they're very able. And that's encouraging. I think we should spread that word more amongst our older community. So yeah, anything is possible if you think you can do it badly enough. Thank you. Back to you, Bang. My voice is just about to disappear.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. It's amazing. You read the different holy books and you found areas in every one of them that you are agreeable with. Wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're all written with a good heart, with good intention, and people are writing them and compiling them from other works, other books, on personal really experience. Yeah, and I think there's nothing wrong with having variety. I being German British, I have British passport, I find it hilarious. Yeah, that the Church of England was invented because Henry VIII wanted to get rid of his wife. And the Pope in Rome said, no way, Jose, go back to London, stay with your wife. And Henry got upset and he said, no, I'm not going to have this Italian telling me what to do, I'm British. And Henry VIII was quite a large guy, I'm told. I don't think he was 7 foot, but he was getting there, 6'8" or something. He was quite a large guy. And he said, no way, I'm going to set up my own thing. And he did. He set up a Church of England. And I think, how can you do that? This is God. Yeah, this is our creator. How can you just make up a religion? But it's been there now for 400-500 years. It still creates great havoc. When a noble in the United Kingdom wants to get divorced, like our current king, I mean, his, I can't remember what it was, would have been great, uncle, gave up the title to the throne to marry a American divorcee, Wallis Simpson. Yeah, good luck to the guy. Yeah, I think, but this is all a bit of a joke. Yeah, it's a bit extreme. So religion is a personal choice. Yeah, is a personal journey that we all go down. And whichever road we go is immaterial. I think all roads, so to say, lead to Rome, or that was the way about 400 years. 500, 600, 700 years ago. But no, seriously, there are many ways of getting to the same destination. So back to you.
Thank you, Mike. I want 1 or 2 persons from other than the Christian background to share some opinion on this, on the topic that Thomas has started with about the seeing into the future and what the future promises. Raju, you are Hindu, are you? What does the Hindu holy book say about the future?
Okay, let me be upfront, very frank, that I'm not a religious person, and whatever little I know, it's about scriptures. Hinduism is all about scriptures. It's not a holy book or something. And my view is, I'm totally talking about a different topic than what you asked me, is that what is the fun of life if you know what's going to happen in the future? Is there fun? Is there joy? I think we should take it as it comes, whatever happens. Now, the best out of us will come only when we are pressurized. When we are under pressure, that's when the best comes. So that can only happen when we don't know what's going to happen the next minute. And that's why they, in Agora, they started something called the hot topics, putting you on the hot spot. And they don't give you a topic in advance. You have to speak from the spot. For me, my life was happy till the time God created something called marriage. And that's where your certain future becomes uncertain. And I don't know, whatever scripture says, but I think it's all done in good faith because when we are pressurized, that's when the best out of us comes. If I was not married, probably I wouldn't have been a public speaker. So all I say is, friends, enjoy life and take it as it comes, face it head on, enjoy the life. Yeah, that's it from me, Bampe.
Yeah, thank you, Coach Raju. You just taught us an important lesson, how to deliver your message with humor, and you showed us how it's done. Thank you very much. Anyone else want to share some thoughts on this topic about seeing into the future and what your holy books tell you? Or even without the holy book? Okay, Charan, please.
My religion recognizes all other religions with respect. We, in our temple, we always cater food. Anybody who comes to the temple, we never ask them what religion you belong to. As long as you comply simple rules, cover your head, covering the head. Nowadays, of course, everybody is clean. At one time was not so clean, so food cannot be contaminated by hair falling and all that. So even today, if you go to Silaro temple, you see people of all races coming there to eat. Provided you just cover your head and you do not wear something indecent, we welcome you. So that is very important for inter-religion relationship. In the Golden Temple in India, they prepare something like about 50,000 meals a day, all by volunteers. And they feel happy to serve everyone who comes there. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been to a Sikh temple before. When I was growing up in Malaysia, in my little kampong, there is a Sikh temple. And one of my friends was a Sikh. And one day he told me, follow me, we can have free lunch over there. So we went happily. No, I tell you, even without covering our head, they let us in and they let us have food to eat. So it's quite an amazing religion, this Sikhism. They are really generous. They are very caring and they really do what they preach. So I was amazed and it's always stuck in my memory, this experience.
I also like to add in the food is always vegetarian.
Yeah, with a lot of beans.
No question of people saying I don't eat this, I don't eat this meat. Outside temple, you can go down and eat what you want to eat.
Yes.
But when the temple is cooking, you cannot say I want a chicken wing and I want a chicken thigh. There's a world of difference. Everybody wants chicken thigh. So where do you get chicken thighs?
Thank you.
In some parts of Malaysia, the temples there do have some place where they cook meat. That one is because in the small kampongs, when there's a marriage, there's no place where they can have entertainment or group sitting down to eat. So then that area is only for cooking, especially meat for certain functions. That's all.
Mm-mm. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing further. Next, actually, Ishan has booked a speaking slot. Ishan want to speak for about 7 minutes. Ishan, are you ready to speak?
Yes, I'm
Uh,
ready.
I'll give you 1 minute to introduce yourself and introduce your topic. And when you're done, you let us know, and then you can start your 7-minute speech. Can you do that?
Okay, okay.
Okay,
Ready.
tell us about the topic first and what is so important about your topic that we must listen to you, for example, before you start. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome all the way from India, from the 9th grade of the Indian school, Ishan Ahmed. Ishan Ahmed from India. Yay!
Hello everyone. I'm Ishan Ahmed, student of class 8 from Assam, India. So in today's evening, I would like to speak a humorous speech. My topic is man make the mistakes, mistakes make the man. Here we start. You and I want to make mistakes by virtue of being human. It's in our DNA. But as we like to say in India, me, I was born special. Have you ever a huge made a huge mistake in your life? If you have say I, now count all those eyes and multiply them by factor 2 to the power of 87.5 times infantry squared. That's how many mistakes I have made in my life. Thomas Edison tried 10,000 times before he finally made the light bulb. I have made 10,000 mistakes and I still have not had my light bulb moment. You all know Mark Zuckerberg. That's me with mistakes. Only if I had on my social media site, it would be called Mistake Book. You know Steve Jobs. That's me with mistakes. Only my name would be Steve. Cannot get a job. But I was not always like this. Maybe the reason for all my mistakes began long before I was before I was for my mistake before long before I was born. 9 months to be precise. You see, by mistakes, my parents told me that I was a mistake, but they kept me. Thank God for that. The night before I was born, my father was having a party at my house, his house. The drinks were flowing, the music was thumping. Yeah, everyone was having a good time. In fact, they slept at 2 a.m. But I would have none of it by 5 a.m. My mother's water box is turned over in bed and told my father and said, Ahmed, it's happening. We need to go now. My father must have thought he was dreaming because he mumbled in his sleep. Hmm, it's okay. We will go in the morning. The baby can wait. My mother yelled at the top of her lungs. The whole neighborhood woke up. He got into the car. My father, poor guy, drank as he sung. He got in, we all got in. And at 7 a.m., I was born. The man who makes a mistake had been. Fast forward a few more years to when I was 6 years old and I had this peculiar of turning off the bathroom light. Now to expand this fear, we have to back to the village in India. You see in the village, the toilet or the bathroom is a distance away from the main house. Now in case you are wondering why it's because if things go badly in the toilet, the house is safe. But the problem with in India with India is we have This use cockroach, and they are no ordinary cockroaches. They are special. They can fly. So I used to take my shower in the corner of the bathroom, praying the cockroach decides not to fly today. When I was done, I used to switch off the light and make a dress for the main house. Now I imported this pair to India. When I used to take a shower, I used to do it in my parents' bathroom. I finish off, dry myself off, switch off the light, and run into the parents' bedroom, across the hallway, and into the room. One day, I was following the standard protocol. I finished my shower. I dried myself off. I switched off the light, and I ran next the yard into a room full of ladies. My mother's friends, halfway through the run, I noticed all these eyes starting at me, confused and amused. This made me run even faster. I reached the door by to make sure it was locked. I made U-turn and ran back into the bathroom. The dog bathroom, you see, I had much better patch the monster in there than the ones out there. Needless to say, after that day, my fear cockroach, dark bathrooms, and monster disappeared. Fast forward a few more years to when I was 12 years old, and like many boys that age, I had to face a knife. You all know what that means. If you don't, you will have to Google it because the rules prevent me from explaining and further the sugar products was done and I was taken home to rest and nothing but a Kiko to cover me. Unfortunately, that day we has guests when more unfortunate, they had a daughter, my age. You see, my parents told her parents that I had faced the knife, but they did not tell her because she is a child. She happily escaped into the room, ready to play hide and seek as usual, not knowing that they did. I would rather just hide and not be out. She came closer. I said, "Stop." She said, "Why?" I said, "Because I have a flu and I don't want to get it." She said, "Ew, that's so sweet, Ishan, to my life." She left the room. Not to my life. I heard her say to her parents in my next room, "Mom, that I know, I think he got it from me." Hmm, I had the same thing last week, but now it's gone. Needless to say, her parents never come visiting a long time after death. Ladies and gentlemen, these three stories tell you why I'm like this, full of mistakes, more than the ordinary person. Have you made a huge mistake in your life that you were hung up on? Well, I'm here to tell you that it happens to all of us, but you come out of it a better person. It's also okay to laugh at yourself because if you don't laugh at yourself, people will laugh at yourself. If you if you do laugh at yourself, people will laugh with you, like you are laughing with me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you take off the towel, take off the kiko, let's make mistakes and let's laugh at them because man makes the mistakes and mistakes make the man. Thank you everyone. Have a
Thank you, Ishan. I love your speech. Man make mistake. Mistake makes the man. Wow. And I like it because you're sharing your personal story. And it's so full of humor right from the start until the end. I can even visualize you naked in the shower room with a big flying cockroach attacking you. Yes, great job, great job. And what a fun way to use humor to bring your message across. Anybody like to share some observations with Ishan? Just raise your hand. Okay, if not Ishan, I share one more. Try to get a computer with the better camera. Because if you want to take part in the speech contest, you want to do better, then the absence of your video will put you at a disadvantage. You want to use your not only your vocals but as well as your facial and your hand gestures and general body movement to the best of your advantage. Okay, Ishan. But I must congratulate you. I really love your speech. Each time you speak, you are gaining confidence, you are gaining fluidity, you are more smooth, you are more comfortable. So you are making really, really very good progress, Ishan. Congratulations. Now, who else asked for time slot to speak today? Angelina, right? Angelina, you wanted to present a speech? Okay.
Sorry. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Are you talking to me?
No, I'm talking to Angelina.
Ah.
But you do wish to present a speech as well?
I always want to present a speech.
Okay, we also want to listen to your speech. We want to listen to you only after Dunstan's session, because Dunstan is having the 8 to 9 o'clock time slot to present the key elements of a humorous speech. And he's already in this room. By the way, Dunstan, I will introduce him properly. Let me see whether is he ready. Dunstan, are you ready?
Do you have a program you could put in the chat box so I can see the timing?
Okay, our program is 8 to 9 o'clock. Is a session by Dunstan Chan. Right, he likely to present for about half an hour to 45 minutes, followed by Q&A. So the entire session will take about an hour. Following that, those who wish to speak, just let me know, then I will allocate the 7 minutes to you. Okay, Dunstan, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm here. I just came in.
Okay, very good. Everybody has been anticipating, looking forward to this presentation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me present Dunstan Chan, all the way from Kuching, Malaysia. And many of you will be wondering, who is this man, Dunstan Chan? Dunstan is a lawyer. He is an author of several books, published several books, and he is a newspaper columnist. He's been writing newspaper columns for many years. I think more than 7,000 articles have been published in the newspaper. He's a community leader, NGO leader, whether it's local community or international community. He is a speaker, a trainer, a coach. He has won multiple awards, multiple trophies at international level. And including, I think, Southeast Asia level, I think he's a champion for humorous speech as well. So he is a person we can all learn a lot from. So let us welcome Dunstan Chan, the key elements of a humorous speech.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Do you have my share on screen?
No.
Oh, you didn't see the PowerPoint?
Yeah, we can share. Yeah, I think you're sharing screen with us now. Yes.
Yeah, humor in speech, jokes.
Yeah, we saw that earlier. You've taken over.
Is it on now?
No.
No, not yet.
Mr. Bin.
Yeah, it was on for a while, but I think you press a button and disappeared.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe the spotlight.
No.
I'm trying to go back to where I am. Okay, share screen.
Right.
Okay. Then can you see that?
Coming,
You got
coming.
it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's back.
We got it.
Okay, you saw Mr. Bean just now, isn't it?
Yeah, you went to the second slide. You must move back to slide number 1 to get Mr. Bean. Okay.
Yeah. Can
Okay.
you see it? Okay.
Yes, very good.
All right. Okay, guys, I've just rushed in just in time, which I love it when I'm just in time because they are on the other side of the river. Okay, now humor. Humor is something which I came in just the last minute of the Charan's speech, isn't it? About humor as well, isn't it? I thought it was something about humor, right? Anyway, so it's quite appropriate that we do this. Now, before we start, I want to do some preliminary things first. Now, what is the difference between humor in a speech? All right, when we make speeches, we tend to throw a bit of humor, then jokes, and then a humorous speech. Right. So these are three different things here, and of course, there's similarity. They all have humor, but what do you think is the difference of them? All right, I think most of you have an idea already, but I will just move on very quickly. Of course, it's all to do with intention, right? That's been your purpose of your presentation. Right? Now, if we do a presentation and we have sprinkled it a bit of humor here and there is a reason why we do that, because humor relaxes people and relaxes you, and especially when you want to share some very important point, sometimes it's better to lace it with humor first, and then people will accept and more readily to accept you. Some of you may have seen the movie called Mary Poppins, right? Now, one of the famous songs in Mary Poppins movie is called "A Spoonful of Sugar Makes the," come on, medicine goes down. All right. So what he's saying is that for the kids, you want them to take medicine, which is good for them, but not very pleasant, maybe. All right. So what you do is you put a bit of sugar, then they accept the medicine more easily. So it's the same analogy for us in public speaking. So when we are making some very profound point, all right, and maybe some of these points are a bit uncomfortable to people, but it is a life-changing point. So many speakers, they throw in a bit of humor here and there to make it much more lighter atmosphere, and people are more amenable to accept new ideas, right? So humor in a speech has a specific purpose, whereas the number two is jokes, we call it jokes. Now, these last few years, there are quite a number of young people want to be what they call stand-up comics. Have you heard of that? Right, in clubs, things they stand up and then throw a string of jokes, and they're stand-up comics. So now, what's the difference between the humor in the speech and the jokes which they tell on stage? Basically, it's a question of what. Before I go on to the next one, is the last one is on humorous speech, which I'm being asked to talk about now. Humorous speech is a technical thing, because it is what they call this, is a contest speech, is bound by certain rules and guidelines, you see. So if you stray outside these guidelines, you may lose points, right? So we will deal with that last, is more technical. But now let me look at the, you see, humor in a speech is a means to an end. What do you mean by that? It means that it makes it easier for you to accept the message. The message is the end, all right? The means to an end. Now, whereas jokes, the jokes is being told by comedians and the stand-up comics and all these things, it is an end in itself. Meaning when you crack a joke, as long as they laugh, that's all you want. You don't care whether it is nonsense or it has any message or not, right? Whereas when you're delivering the speech, your what they call this important ambition is that your message being transmitted across to the audience. But whereas when you're telling a joke, who cares? As long as they laugh, right? So that is the difference in terms. Both are humors, but one has a different ambition. Now, when we talk about jokes, there are a number of jokes, what they call category of jokes, and I'll just talk about a few of them, and so that you are aware that there are, but you can search the internet and all that kind of thing as well. Now, this one group of jokes, what we call the three-man joke, right? And is always have three. Now, something very important here, as public speakers, you notice that we put a lot of what they call emphasis on the rule of threes. Remember? They call it the triad, right? 1, 2, 3. You want to throw somebody in the pool, you don't throw them 1, 2. You say 1, 2, 3. So it seems that this triad rules, right? Now, by the way, triad means 1, 2, 3, not the Chinese secret society, which is something else, right? But so we really love this triad rules. So there's a whole body of jokes which are called the three-man jokes, and many of you know it, see. But I'll just give it an example. Take for example, there's the joke about an imam, which is a Muslim, a priest, which is a Christian, and a rabbi, who is a Jewish, right? Person, and they were walking, and they're good friends. They're walking together in the garden, and then they come across a pile of gold coins, lots of them. Now they're being men of clothes, and they are holy people. They say, okay, we have to do it fairly, you know. We just don't simply take the thing and hide it. So the imam said, all right, what I'm going to do is this, because I'm a holy man, I'm going to draw a line, right, on the ground, and I take this bunch of coins, I throw it in the air. Whichever is on the left side, I give to God. Whichever on the right side, I take, right? So it's fair, isn't it? So I didn't just take everything for. So the priest was very impressed with the imam. I'll say, what about you? They asked the priest. The priest said, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to draw a circle on ground, and I throw this in the air. Whichever is inside the circle, I give to God. And whichever is outside the circle, right, I keep for myself. Now they all look at the rabbi. What about you? What do you do? So the rabbi said, well, it's very simple. God is up there, right? So what I'm going to do, I throw it in the air. Whatever he wants, he takes. If he falls on the ground, he didn't want, that's all mine. So those are the kind of jokes we have, right? Of course, it has a kind of a prejudice element in it, but that's it, right? And the other type, I mean, I give you another one, which some of you may have heard of this. It's about a Scotsman, Englishman, Scotsman, and an Irishman, right? And they were captured by the enemy, and they will have to be sentenced to be executed by firing squad. Right? And the first was the Englishman, and the Englishman stood behind, in front of the firing squad, and he was thinking, I must do something to escape from this predicament. And he was suddenly said, what is it? Earthquake! He shouted very loudly, you know. And all the firing squad people was kind of looking around and in a panic. And in that situation, he escaped, right? Oh, wow, that's great. Then he comes to the Scotsman. The Scotsman said, wow, what can I do? He had earthquake, which means I cannot say earthquake anymore. I don't. So then he said, then he looked around and he shouted, you know, tsunami! And everybody was panicking and looking around, you know, for the water and all this thing. And in that confusion, he escaped, right? Now comes to the Irishman. Now he's last. He said, that fellow said earthquake. So which mean I cannot repeat that. If he said earthquake, they wouldn't believe it. And the second one says tsunami, flood. No, I can't repeat that. I wonder what can I do? Is it? Oh, I know. Is it? He said, fire! Is it? You know, it's the end, all right? So that's the kind of thing we talk about, the three-man joke. Now, those of you who didn't laugh, it's okay. sometimes it takes you a few hours to get the joke, but some people will laugh immediately, like Coach Raju is already laughing. So it is okay. So there's another joke which is related to that. The fellow is so dim that when he was in the comedy club and when people told jokes and he didn't laugh. And then suddenly that night when he went home in the middle of the night, he started laughing and the wife said, "What is going on here?" It took him a couple of hours to realize what the joke was all about. So these are the kind of thing we get in jokes. Let's move on to the other type of jokes. So many of you may have heard this I may come across this genre of joke. We call it the pearly gate jokes. The idea is that when you die, you have to go to heaven, and then the gate, you have to pass through this gate, and it's always St. Peter's there, and he has to check whether you are allowed to go in or not. And there's a whole string of these kind of jokes, particularly by this Irish comedian. I think he's dead already. He's called Dave Allen, I think, or something like that. Anyway, and take for example, you okay? Is somebody shouting? Okay, it's not a rich joke. It's a joke, please. Right? So there's this thing about somebody died, or is it died or something like that, and he went to the gate. Now this is a gate for heaven and hell, right? And then the devil was there, and then the angel was there, and then the devil said, "Well, why don't you come to you are a very clever man, and you are a politician and all that kind of thing. You are very clever. And why don't you have a look at the place first, so you can decide whether you want to go to heaven or to hell, all right?" And then I'll say, I try hell first. He went in hell and he looked, wow, it's a fantastic place. All his good friends, the fellow politician who died, were there. They're playing golf, they're drinking the most expensive drink, and they have everything which you can think of. He said, wow, this is great. Is this hell? He said, yeah, this is fantastic. Hell, Okay, but anyway, since I am here, I might as well have a look at heaven, so that I can make up my mind. So he went there and went to heaven. What did he see in heaven? Oh my God, is everybody dressed in white and the angel floating around playing on the harps, and everything was very serene and all these things, and boring. So I said, this is boring, So he went back and then he told the gatekeeper, he said, look, I'm going to go to hell. So the guy said, are you sure? He said, yeah, it's such a nice place. So he went to hell. And when he entered hell, and he was shocked, the place was totally different. It was not a golf course. It was all kind of burning. The woods are burning. There were cinder on the ground. And then his friends were all in rack. And then they were really haggard, So he said, wait a minute. Yesterday I came here, they were all playing golf, they're having a good time. And then the devil said to him, yesterday was like the day before the election. You guys will tell them that if you put you in power, all you have this. But today is reality. So that's the kind of a heavenly joke, or what they call the pearly gate joke. There are many actually. You can look for them. All right. I'm just giving you a sample of the different kind of jokes. Now, this one which we use, this one's particular one which I find interesting because it has an incident in our club here in Kuching. Many years ago, somebody who told joke, which I will tell you why it created an incident, right? Now, this is a joke called The Bus Driver and the Bishop, all right? This bus driver is really a scoundrel. He drinks, he takes drugs, and he does this, but he went on a long trip to take people. What's going on? There's something going on there. Okay, guys, I don't know whether he's objecting to the fact that I'm talking about pearly gates. Are you okay with this? Hello? Now, this is something which I find I've been kind of did some stand-up comedy before. You expect hecklers, hecklers. Okay, that's good. We got hecklers. Can we continue? All right. So there's this bus driver, and he was driving this bus full of passengers, and he was drunk, he was drunk, and then he drove, and then he went all over the place, and everybody is screaming and all that kind of thing, and they crashed, and he died. All right. And he died, and he has to make his way to the pearly gate to see whether he goes to heaven or not. As he was there, St. Peter said, wait a minute, let me have a look at register whether you're entitled to get in or not. And as the St. Peter was looking at a register, a bishop came who just died, came in. And then St. Peter said, okay, Bishop, you wait for a while. Let me have a look. So he looked at them. He said, okay, both of you can go to heaven. And the bishop was saying, my God, how can that be? I spend my whole life giving sermons, teaching people, and all these kind of things, all the good things in the world, right? And this guy, he drinks all the times, and he crashed the bus, and he also goes to heaven. Now, this is something which I want to tell you as an aside. The bishop never attended any public speaking club event before. He was neither a Toastmaster, neither was he an Agoran. Right? That means he never learned the skills of communication. That's why when he did his sermon, most of the time, people were falling asleep because he was so boring. So St. Peter said to him, you see, look, he said, you spend your whole life giving sermon, and it was boring, all right? And you didn't acquire the skills of public speaking, and people fall asleep, but still they pray to God. But this guy, he didn't have to do anything. All he has to do is drink and drive the car, the bus. And when he was driving, everybody was praying to God, right? So for effect, the result is the same. So both of you can go to heaven. So that is a pearly gate joke, right? That's it. Now let's move on very quickly, because you guys may have something you want to ask later on, right? Now I go to the kind of general jokes, right? Those of you who are familiar with Britain on English television, these are the two Ronnies, Ronnie Cobbett. Both, I think, died already. The other one is Ronnie Clark or something like that. I forgot the name. They have a show called The Two Ronnies. Right? Now, one thing you notice about them, this is what the quality of a joke is. Joke can be silly, but it is witty. It is funny. That's what a joke is all about, right? It's witty, it's funny. It can be silly. Right? A very famous one by Ronnie Cobbett is this. He said, in the English Channel, a boat carrying a boat full of red paint and another boat carrying a boat full of purple paint collided in the English Channel. Now all the crews are maroon. So you need to think about it, right? So it is very witty in a sense that it's a very English kind of a joke, right? The other one is this: a cement mixture, a lorry with a cement mixture was driving on the motorway, and it had a head-on collision with a prison van. Now the police are looking for a dozen hardened criminals. Get it? Right? So something like that. So these are what I call the characteristic of a jokes. It is silly, it is witty, but it is funny. And this is more typical of English kind of a joke, which is a bit more, what's the term we call it? Cerebral. That means a bit more brainy. American jokes tend to be a bit more in your face, but because I spent most of my time in England before, so I tend to be influenced by the Brits, right? So the jokes are all like that. It's one of these jokes where it takes you a while to get what they mean. So you laugh after the thing. Now, here it comes to some don'ts, do's and don'ts. So the do's is this: make your joke silly, witty, and funny. That's the do's, right? And if you can search the net, or you can do some research on the different types of jokes, like three-man jokes, the pearly-gate jokes, all these things. You can look. They help you to cater to develop your joke journal, we call it, right? So, but the main thing is you have to be silly and funny and witty, right? But this is the don't. I think in Toastmasters, I'm sure Agora would have the same rules. So whenever we do humorous speech or joke, don't don't tell blue jokes, right? That is one thing we live by that principle, right? And don't tell racist jokes, right? And racist joke with a pejorative slant to it. Of course, there are a lot of racist jokes, but I sometimes I tend to use another word called racial as opposed to racist, right? Racist is much more offensive. Sometimes the racial group, they're kind of, you say something about another race, which is not nice, but they're not so vicious, right? Now, the English has always have all kinds of joke about the Irish because they had a war for a few hundred years, so they always crack some jokes about them. So we'll see if you can get this. You know this Irish termite? They found him in a brick. You didn't get it? Think about it, right? Think about it. You may get it tonight, right? Irish termite was found in a brick, right? Then of course there's a whole series of racist jokes, which I don't want to repeat the joke about seeing and all these kind of things that they do a lot. That we try to avoid those kinds of jokes. And the reason why I said this is all of us are public speakers and we stand on the stage, and if we're not careful, we offend people, right? So try to avoid this kind of jokes. Now, most important thing, do not make the audience the butt of your joke. Never, never, never. You don't want to crack joke about a particular racial group. Neither do you want to crack a joke about a particular person. And I've seen this happen many times. Many times I've seen it happen, right? Where people, the MC or the whoever it is, they think they're being funny, and then they point to somebody, say something about them. Never do that. It is very, very, very rude, and it is very, very unkind, right? And we aspire to be good public speaker. We use humor to make our speech much more presentable, more acceptable, but not at the expense of somebody else. Right? So this is a rule which you have to really bear in mind. Now, this is what we call self-deprecating jokes, meaning which is good. You laugh at yourself. A lot of us do that. We go and speak on a stage, and then we kind of and the audience appreciate it. Like, for example, one of my friends, he's a very good humorous speaker, and I think some of you may know him. His name is Steve Fernando. All right, he's very funny. He's very funny. All right, and you looking at him, you already laugh. Now, one thing about him, he's bold. All right. Now, in one of his line, he said he won this some lucky draw. He was so happy, you open the thing and it was a comb. All right. You see what I mean? He laughs at it. He's bold. Somebody gave him a comb. So if he was not bold, and if he would direct this joke to a bold person in the audience, that's very offensive. So remember, make joke about yourself. It's okay. The audience appreciate that you laugh at yourself. But don't make the audience a butt of your jokes. Now we come to the thing itself, the humorous speech. Okay. Now we come to that was the preamble. Firstly, when you enter a speech contest, any kind of contest, in this case is a humorous speech. I think Agora also have a humorous speech contest. I'm not sure. I think they have. So when you have a speech contest, you're bound by the rules. And there's two. I take it from the Toastmasters thing, because I took part in it quite a lot of time. There are a lot of rules. I mean that no offensive words and what I said. But the main rules is this. I think it's the same with Agora. First, the length of the presentation is 5 to 7 minutes. And in speech contest, we are very strict on this. So we give you a leeway of 30 seconds. If you hit 7 minutes, the light will come on, but 30 seconds is also. If you 37 minutes, 31 second, and you can have been prepared, may have delivered some of the best speeches in the world, you still get disqualified. It happened to me before, right? I got disqualified, and it's my fault because I did not time my speech. So it's my fault, right? I got disqualified another time, which is totally unfair, was this. And you know, when the contest chair give you a briefing, he said, your speaking area is this, he indicated on the speaking area. And at that time, we have a very low stage, only about 6 inches platform, right? So see, speaking area is this, and he's pointing to the speaking area. And then I was speaking, and I got carried away as I was talking to the audience. I get nearer and nearer. I stepped down from the platform, and I was disqualified because I spoke outside the speaking area. I think that's a moot point, but anyway, I was disqualified, right? And so something like that. So when you take part in a contest, you read the rules. Right? You read the rules. But the most important rules, as far as humorous speech contest is concerned, is a lot of people are confused about this. The rules says that it has to be a humorous speech which is centered around a theme. Now, I don't know whether you understand what they're saying here, you know. It is centered around a theme. So in other words, let me see where I did say that. Okay, theme, you see the theme there. In other words, you can go up and deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech of many funny jokes, all unrelated to each other. Then you have breached the contest rule. You understand what I'm saying? You know, even the stand-up comedians, they try to have a theme, you know, but sometimes they can be quite nasty, you know, but they always have a theme, right? But even a contest is even more so. You must have a theme. And this is where a lot of people fail. I've attended a lot of contests in the last 30 years, and some people get really angry, you know, they didn't win and all these things, but they get laughed, you see? The jokes were very funny, get laughed, but they are not related at all. But the rule says it must build around a theme. So in other words, it is a speech. It's not a series of jokes. Right? That's something we have to bear in mind. Right? Now we look at the anatomy of a contest speech. Very simple. Right? It has two parts. It builds up, and then the most important one is the punchline. Right? Build up, punchline. So you have to time it really well, because the punchline is done that kick the whole thing in. So but the problem is this: 5 to 7 minutes speech is a long speech, you know, very long. Huh? You may think it's not long. Actually, it's very long to be on the stage and to keep people laughing and all that kind of thing. And if you recall, if you look at this America's Got Talent and Britain's Got Talent, they only have 2 or 3 minutes, yeah, and that's all they have, you know. So you have 5 to 7 minutes, that's a lot of things. So the problem is this: if you're built up, right, because it's very long, the punchline comes at the end, and if it's too long, people will lose you. So the strategy for people who want to take part in speech contests, human speech contests, is that you try to inject jokes, you know, that kind of humorous remark along that build up here and there, so that the audience are kept, you know, to on their toes. They say, oh yeah, they're funny, but they continue, but you steer along the theme. So that is where your skill comes in. It takes time and it takes a bit of work to work. So it's not a question of long drawn jokes, right? With a punchline, people laugh at the end. You try to get them particularly tickled during the 5 minutes, and then when it come bam like that, Then they laugh, right? So let's have a look. So this is what the English call leading somebody up the garden path. You know, they will say leading up somebody. You know why we say that is the garden path doesn't lead anywhere. It's just nice path. So a jokes is like that. You know, the anatomy of joke is start by leading you up, sometimes the wrong way, you know, and you're following it. And but at the same time, I said, because it's a contest speech, you try to have a bit of funny thing happen along the way. All right. Then what happened? Can you see there? I'm not sure whether it's clear. Somebody got hit by a hammer at the end. That is Mickey Mouse and the cat, Tom and Jerry. Oh, Jerry. All right. So what you're doing is you drag them along this path, which is the first part of the anatomy, the build up, but you sprinkle it with a bit of funny thing and all this kind of thing. Then suddenly, without any warning, palm may hit you. That's the most important one. Never forget the punchline, right? And just now, remember I told you the joke about the drunken bus driver, and this happened in front of us. One very prominent Toastmaster. In fact, he was one of the top leaders in this part of the world, and he was giving that jokes, right, about the drunken driver and all this kind of thing. And when he went to the pearly gates, and then the bishop came in, what was the punchline? Do you remember? The punchline is that bishop preached his whole life, right, and get people to believe in God, right? The drunken driver only need to drink and he get people to believe in God. That was the punchline, you see? So you don't have to work so hard. But this poor fella, somehow or other, he was caught. I mean, it happens to all of us, and he was a very prominent Toastmaster at that time, right? He forgot the punchline. He told a joke and we're going about a bus driver driving or this thing, and then he went to there. St. Peter said to him, blah, blah, blah. Then Bishop came, blah, blah, blah. Then he said, both of them went to heaven. Huh? We were saying, ooh, what's so funny about it? See, the punchline was that he only has to drink to get people to believe in God. The bishop has to spend his whole life to get people. So remember, when you tell jokes, never forget the punchline. Practice the punchline. As far as punchline is concerned, we always say timing, timing, timing. You got to get it right. Just when they didn't expect it, you punch them. That's where you get it, all right? So very simple, the anatomy. At the end of the day, what is it? It is about delivery skills. That's why we have meetings regularly. We give speeches. We practice our voice, our eye contact, our vocal variety, our what you call the body language and all this thing, because it's all about delivery. And many years ago, it's more than 10 years ago, I think, there was this incident in Philippines, because my other half is from the Philippines. He used to go there, and it was carried in a newspaper. It was the beginning of the karaoke craze. You know, the karaoke was just coming in. I think it's 15 years, I cannot remember. And the Filipinos love singing, and they're very good singers, right? And one of the songs at that time everybody liked to sing was the Frank Sinatra song called My Way, right? And they like to sing that song. And in a newspaper I read, in the city of Cebu, some of you may know where Cebu is, right? City of Cebu, karaoke singer was shot dead, right? Because he sang the song so badly that the audience can't stand it. And in Philippines, they do carry guns and all that, and they shot him dead. Now, it proves that it can be the best song in the world, but if you cannot deliver it, you'll be shot. So you can spend hours and hours preparing your humorous speech, all the little tricks here and there, but if you don't have the delivery skills, you'll be shot dead by the audience. And in fact, 2% was shot, right? The one in Manila was also in karaoke singing that damn song, This time he shot the audience because they are booing at him. Remember, if you know the song, the end is I did it my way, very high, it went up there, and they were sniggering away at him, struggling, and he couldn't take it, and he shot them, right? So what I'm trying to part with you is this. We can have techniques. We can do research. It's all there, very easy. Nowadays with internet, you can get it very easily and then you can learn. But you got to sing it. You got to sing it. You got to be able to use your voice. That's why we have regular meeting, and we thank Bang Bang for keeping this going, right? So that you can try your voice. And the other thing which is very important in humorous speech, of course, in most speeches are, but humorous is even more so, is the pause. You understand? You listen to the good comedians. You count the number of words. In fact, they didn't use many words. Many of us try to do, let's say, for example, you have a 5 to 7 minute speech, and assuming as Asian, we speak about 100 words per minute. So you write a speech which is 700 words, right? It's end to end. But if you count the number of words of those champions as well as those guys, professional, in fact, it's only about 500 words. Because the pause, the silence is part of the delivery. And this is something you have to learn, huh? Many of us say, oh yeah, I must write, 7 minutes, 700 words, 800 words. I said, if you give a speech which is 800 words, you have no time to breathe. No time to breathe. So I recommend to you in ending is this. There was a speech, I consider as one of the best speeches. I don't know, I don't agree, but it said by Winston Churchill, all right? Winston Churchill gave a speech. I think it was only a couple of hundred words. I cannot remember. It's called, the title of the speech is called This Was the Finest Hour. This was the finest hour, about the RAF and all that kind of thing. But if you look at that speech and you read it without those pause, it's very different from when you read it and you pause. It has that dramatic effect. So my friends, that's all I can share with you. And I've tried many times. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lost, but the thing is this, we know that humor, right, is very important and is integral part of public speaking. And we know that humor is needed for us to make it's a spoonful of sugar that makes the medicine goes down. That's what our philosophy. We know that we need to inject a bit of humor here and there, otherwise it's too heavy, too serious, right? Throw it in there. But humor is witty. It can be silly, but it is funny, right? So something like this we got to remember. And finally, always remember the punchline. The punchline, right? And then with that, I am sure you're going to have a lot of love. Thank you. Back to you, Ban Peng.
Thank you, Dunstan. That's most insightful from your captivating opening right to your concluding remark.
If you want to ask question, you can ask question.
Yeah, I'm glad I have this recorded, and tomorrow will be up on YouTube for those who cannot make it tonight to watch it. I like the particular comment towards the end about how to use the pause. And I fully agree. The pause is actually one of the least appreciated tool in our public speaking repertoire of skills. Yeah, I'm sure Coach Raju can give us some session on the power pause, the different pause.
I like that power pause. The power pause.
There are
the what they call alliteration, the power pause. The
It's
power.
not the it's not the pregnant pause.
Oh, pregnant pause is okay. Yeah.
Okay, then there are actually many different type of pauses if you look. Do you know that there's a pause for a comma in a sentence? And
Yeah.
that pause is different from a full stop at the end of the sentence. And that is different from the pause in an exclamation mark or a question mark at the end of the sentence. And there's a pause for between paragraphs or between sentences. So there are many different type of pause. If you really want to be an expert in how to pause, you got to get Raju or somebody to conduct a workshop on how to pause. Okay, tonight we have benefited a lot. I'm sure many of you, as you listen, you have thoughts flowing through your mind, and there are questions you want to ask Dunstan, definitely. Now is the time. He still have at least 15 minutes for us. If you need further clarification or
Sharing, if they want to
sharing,
share.
yeah.
Can
yeah.
I, Ban Peng, before I forget, when you talk about pause, I just want to give a couple of sentences on the pause, which is one of the techniques we do, all right? Then when we talk about pause, there are two most prominent places you do it. You pause before you say something important. So say, listen. Then you say, yeah, what? Listen, you pause, all right? No, there's a $1 million prize for those who can answer the next question. So a pause before, that's one. The second one, you pause after you have said something important. You see? So you let it sink in. You said something very important, you said it, and you stop. Don't continue. You stop. And then you say, wow, that was great, isn't it? And then you move on. So those are some of the most basics one, but I'm sure Raju can do a bit more on that, Raju. Before, sorry, Ban Peng, on it, I just stealing your time here. Raju, are we okay for Monday or Wednesday? You
As
said
per your wish.
okay, I do it Wednesday because I'm very rushed this
This
week.
is the Indian way of saying yes.
Indian, yeah. I love that. Sorry, it's kind of, it has a racial overtone, but it's not pejorative, you know. It's not pejorative. Yeah. Okay, sorry, guys. If you want to ask any question or anyone to contribute some points, I would love to hear from you. Right?
Brian, share with us the New York perspective of a humorous speech.
Where's Brian?
I think it's too early in the morning for him to
What
to
time
share
is
jokes.
there? Brian, what time is there?
I think he
By
will.
the way, I
12
just want,
hours,
yeah, 12.
I think.
I just want to tell you guys this something which I find very disturbing recently. And Brian is from New York, so New York people always say foul words, use foul words in comedy, and I find no, I'm not joking. Now it's very strange. There are a lot of new young comedian. Every sentence end with fuck. You know, every sentence, and you know who they are, right? And many of them actually Asian, you know, especially ladies. My God, you know, there's just a couple Asian ladies from New York, and they think they're funny, and every sentence is some foul words, and somehow it become a culture now. And I hope we don't get infected by that, Brian.
There are many comedians, different comedians in New York, and this is one of the best place to start as a speaker. So yeah, some speakers do have foul words as their trademark. Just think about even not just the Asian comedians, think about Samuel Jackson in the movies. That's some part of their persona, some part of their trademark. So if that worked for their audience, I think it's okay, but I personally don't use that kind of language. And there's so many kinds of comedians and speakers. Not everybody use four-letter words here.
The one on YouTube, they do. While we are on that, there was a Toastmaster. I think he's still a Toastmaster from Brunei. You may not, I don't know if Ban knows him or not. His name is Zainal Abidin, and he won the humorous speech contest. Mike should remember. I think he got second or first. Second, I think.
Can't remember, but yeah, maybe
Yeah,
second.
Jakarta. The one who got
Yeah.
first was Deborah De Waters.
Iskander. No,
Yeah. No, Iskandar is this.
No.
Anyway,
Deborah. Yeah, Deborah
yeah, Deborah, yeah.
from
And
Hawaii.
anyway, he was very brave. He decided to take the bull by the horn, so to speak. He's an engineer, you know, so he gave up engineering for about 6 months, and he went to London, and he has what they call this aim to do 100 gigs. You know, you can get stand-up gigs in all the pubs to get 100 gigs before he comes back, you know. And he kept a kind of a diary, and he posts it every day, and it's very funny though. Sometimes he said that sometimes he goes to this pub and there's only him on stage and a couple of people on the table at the corner, and they're more interested in the pizza than he's doing. But that toughens you up, you know, because as a public speaker, we are very, very sensitive to people's reaction. If we feel that people are not listening to us, we feel, you know, we get demoralized. So he toughened it. 100 gigs he did. And sometimes nobody was interested in him, you know, but he continued to do so. Anyway, sorry, that's a kind of a sidetrack. Sorry about this.
Dunstan, I remember about maybe 30 years ago when I was a new member in Toastmasters, and then there was a humorous speech contest. And so we all signed up for it. Because we always meet up after the club meeting and have a coffee, and then we joke and we laugh the whole night. So we thought we are all going to be very good at all this humorous speech contest. On the day of the contest, then we look around, there's a member of parliament, there is a area governor, division governor, and all the VIPs are there. Then when they call my name, I went up there.
And you forgot.
No, I couldn't say a word because all the jokes we talk about during supper, you cannot say those jokes in front of those people. That was the craziest.
Yeah. Any question? I just want to introduce something I forgot about it. Is this? I did say that delivery skills is very important. So most of the convenient comedians, you know, they are very animated and all these things. People like Mr. Beans and all this kind of thing, you know, the mannerism and all these things. But there is one class of joke called the deadpan, right? Joke. So the fellow is very serious, you know. Now, this since you bring up Singapore, and I would say I hope the Singaporeans don't get offended by this. Years ago, I don't know, you may know this guy. And Singapore at that time has the one-child policy. Do you remember the one-child policy? And then he went on stage. He said, there may be some politician in the audience. He said, I have discovered the way to conform to the one-child policy. How do you do it? You know, the poor Singaporeans at that time, they're really having a tough time because you can have only one child. And then what are you going to do, you know, especially at night when you get a bit of the thing, you know? So he said, I have discovered, he said, yeah. And then I remember in Singapore, it's not so easy to buy condoms, you know. I don't know whether you know it. So you feel very ashamed to go and buy condom. So he said, very easy, he said. You look with a deadpan face, you know. Just have sex once in your life. It took us a while, you know, to get. We are so serious, and he's looking at this VIP guy, you know. I think must be one, and he looks at him, you know. And so those are example of deadpan comedians, and there's one on the TV now called, I think he's from Scandinavian country. He's very funny guy. And he doesn't laugh and all this thing, but he just give you the jokes. But he took you a while to laugh. You can search him. I think Fritz something his name. He talks about us, all right, and it's funny. Sorry,
Okay.
guys.
Who else want to contribute something on this humorous part of it?
I just I give this. Yeah. Sure.
Angelina, is it Angelina saying?
Yeah. Can we revoke in humorous speech, for example, experience as a kid? Bullying, for example.
Sorry, come again. I hear the word bullying. Come on.
Can we revoke in humorous speech, for example, experience as a kid, bullying, like a chewing gum? It is a naughty experience as a kid.
You want to use that as a speech?
Yes, in humorous speech.
I suppose you can. I mean, because you use the word bullying. Did you say bullying? I was a bit disturbed when I heard that, But I think you didn't mean that, You're thinking that you're being bullied or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of life experience you can use, but you can use it. You have to tailor it, so that is like, for example, about bullying. I mean, when I was in school, I went to school when I was very young, and the reason why I was the youngest is because I had supposed to go to the kindergarten, and there was no place. So the school, the Chinese school, they just put me in primary one. My God, the other guys were about 5 or 6 years older than me, right? So I suffered that for a few years. But the only reason why I never got last in class was I have a cousin who was even more stupid than me, right? That kind of thing. And yeah, honestly, I have the honor of never being last in class, And I still meet him. He's about 70 something as well. So Mike, sorry about that, Mike. You were saying something. Mike.
Okay.
I thought Mike was wanting to say something.
Not Mike, Raju. Raju wanted to say
Raju, is it?
Yeah, I think Dunstan, that was a wonderful presentation, excellent. I just have a couple of comments for the audience. And what I have personally learned from humorous speech. When I first joined public speaking, for the first 7 years, I haven't won a single trophy in humorous speech. But I won in all the other categories, but humorous, no. Then, when I introspected myself, I noticed some rules in a humorous speech is don't use simple language. Like people can sit back and listen to you. And as Dunstan said, use less words as possible. Second most important is use short sentences, not long sentences, short sentences. Third one is if you do a good humorous speech, people will start loving you. People will want to be your friend. That's there. And the fourth point is that in a humorous speech, it starts even before you start speaking. So the title is extremely important. Now, the title, make it in a way which people should laugh, should chuckle at least when they listen to the title. The next point is that now, I think Angelina asked about bullying, right? In humor, what happens is you go against the standard convention. For example, they say, always tell the truth. Now, you should go against that. Then humor comes automatically, like keep lying. Why lying is good for you. That sort of thing. Now, in my recent humor speech, I was talking about complaining. Why complaining is good. Select something which is against the normal. Then humor comes automatically. And you will get lots of material. Just try till you make it. And trust me, humor is a very important part of life. It's the easiest way to break the ice when you talk to strangers. And when you're making a humorous speech, the first 30 seconds is extremely important. First 30 seconds. If you're able to generate a laughter in the 30 seconds, the audience are on your side. And leave the best material for the last. Do something which the audience don't expect. And let me tell you, there's a humorous speaker in each one of you. It's just for you to keep digging, 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 digging. You will find that one. Over to you, Benpeng.
Thank you, Coach Roger.
Okay, can I just have one last word? Is this, I forgot about it. Is this what Raju says is true, but I think like in public speaking, more so in humorous speech, right? Is that be yourself. You will find yourself. Don't, of course, you try to emulate somebody, but your own self will come up. I'll give you an example. I think you know him. This guy, Stephen Fernando, he won so many humors. He's very funny. When you look at him, you laugh. You know, he has a gift, all right? He's bold and he's funny and he has squeaky voice. And so he wins already because up there, like this. And then my own experience with him is this. I knew him a long time. And at one point, I was crazy about taking part in speech contests. Every contest I took part in, I won a lot of them. And he was always together on the stage and he never won, you know. All right. And then when I realized what happened, he was trying to be like me. But he was not me. He is a guy, you know, you look at him, you laugh, you know. He's so funny, he's bold. He's the guy who said that he won the comb. Yeah? So it took him about 5 years of getting nowhere. Suddenly one day it hits, you know, where the real Stephen Fernando came up. He's one of the most sought after speakers. He's really good because he's true to himself. And he doesn't have to think, you know, just looking at him, you laugh. And then when he's open his mouth, you laugh. So the mission for all of us, not just in humorous speech, but it's also in general public speaking, is that you have to find yourself. Right? You can get motivated and inspired by other people, but you have to find yourself. And there is a movie, if you people can into old movies, there's a movie called the Magic Flute or something like that, about this kung fu tournament. All these kung fu masters, they fight each other until they reach the top. They go to the mountain, right? And then they get a prize. You know, after the last fight, they get a prize. And this fellow fought. I think it's David Carradine, and he won. And they gave him a book, all right? So everybody is fighting for this book, you know. And when he opened the book, what did he see? It was a mirror. Try to search for the silent flute, it's called. So the same with us as public speakers, we search. Eventually you find yourself. Okay, thank you.
The Silent Flute. Okay,
Silent
I'll
Flute.
search for it.
Yeah.
I'll search
Well,
for
it's a
it.
B movie, but sometimes even in among the pebbles you get diamonds, you know, you don't know. So I saw it, wow, I said this is very profound, but nobody loves the movie. It's a bit silly, but I was very moved by the fact that when he opened the book, it was a mirror. It took you a while to work out that, you know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dunstan.
Thank you.
Yeah, very
Alright.
insightful. I'm glad I recorded this. Somebody, I think a few people asked me to record it and post on YouTube, and I will do that. Okay, some of you have requested to present speeches. Who want to go first? Can raise your hand. Angela and Angelina.
Can
Angelina, are you ready?
Yes, okay.
Okay, Angelina, this is how it works. Can you switch on your video? Then we can see you.
I hope so, but I'm worried a bit interruptions.
Sorry, what was that?
Okay,
you-
I try, but sometimes I worried if the interruption sometimes.
That's
you
okay.
don't have the bandwidth for that, is it?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Never mind. You need not on the video in that case. Can you see my
Okay.
screen? Are you on the computer?
Yes.
Can you see my screen? Do you need me to
Yes,
time
sir.
you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not really.
Okay.
Okay, Angelina, we can hear you actually. You can deliver.
Okay.
No.
I
I'm
want
sorry. Please forgive me. I have to have my dinner now because my family is waiting for me. Okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
okay.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Angelina. I mean,
Enjoy.
I love to hear, but my wife is standing.
Okay, take
just
your
out
time.
now.
Take your time.
Okay. We'll record this for you.
Okay,
Okay.
take
Yeah,
your
we
time.
excuse Dunstan for his dinner. Angelina.
For woman.
Okay, you
I
have
want to,
7 minutes. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself, introduce your topic, tell us about the topic, tell us why you want to speak on the topic. You have 1 minute, right? Tell us why you are suitably qualified to speak on this topic. That one is 1 minute. After that, you let us know you're ready, and then you can start your speech, which is 7 minutes. If you cannot see my screen, then I cannot help you with a color backdrop to let you know 5, 6, 7 minutes, for example. So if you cannot see my screen, you will have to time yourself. Do you have a stopwatch convenient near to you?
yeah, of course.
Okay, so are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Angelina from Indonesia.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Grateful for women. Yes, today is International Women's Day, the most amazing women. I know we are celebrating the economic, culture, and political achievement of women. Imagine a gender equal world, a world free of bias, stereotype, and discrimination. Include sometimes in Jakarta also, in Indonesia, a world that is a diverse, equitable, and inclusive. Why I talk with you about the women? Because it's now International Women's Day. Most
We cannot hear you, Angelina. Angelina.
Benpeng, I would suggest let's go with the other Angela,
Okay.
and then by the time she can fix up her audio.
Okay. Okay. Angela, are you here, Angela?
Yes, I am.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. We have 1 minute, just 1 minute to introduce your speech topic and tell us about why you want to speak on this topic. After that, you have 7 minutes to deliver. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Do you need me to help you with the typing signals?
Yes, please.
Can you see my screen?
I can see you with the word Agora behind you.
Okay. Now,
Nice green.
okay, green is 5 minutes, yeah?
Yes.
And this will be 6. Red will be 7, after which you have to end your speech within 30 seconds. Good
Will
to
you
go?
give me a sound at the end of the 30 seconds?
No, we will just mute you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Angela Lansbury from Singapore. Yeah.
Thank you. I've been an English teacher most of my life, and I've also been a sub-editor on women's magazines, correcting other people's spelling and grammar. I thought I spoke perfect English and I understood perfect English until I went to America and New Zealand and Singapore. And I'm here to help you watch out for all the mistakes and confusions that I experienced, which were very funny looking back on them, but they weren't so funny at the time. Now, Bernard Shaw said, the English and the Americans, well, England and America are two countries divided by a common language. That used to puzzle me until I went to America. Now, I thought I knew all the American words. For example, can you think of any? I expect you can. There's vacation for holiday and so on. But as soon as I got to America, I found they use words differently. For example, at Disneyland, we were on a train, on a monorail going around, and we had our suitcases and we were a little way from the door, and a voice suddenly announced, "We will be landing at the next station momentarily." And I jumped up and I shouted to my family, "Quick, quick, quick, they're only stopping for a moment, rush to the door." Well, of course, momentarily in England means only for a moment, but in America, momentarily means shortly or soon. So I was in a whole panic for no reason at all, and they stopped for a good 5 minutes. Meanwhile, we'd shoved everybody out of the way, and they must have thought the British were so rude because we were rushing to get to the door. We also had some other experiences. I had two odd experiences when I went shopping. The first one was when I was looking for a ruler and what in England we call a rubber. And I said, "Do you have rubbers and do you have rulers?" And the lady said, "I think you need a drugstore, ma'am." And I said, "Pardon?" And she said, "I think you need a drugstore, ma'am." And I couldn't understand it. I walked all around and I found the ruler and I found the rubber. And I went back and I said to her, "You sell these?" She said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "What do you call this?" She said, "That's an eraser, ma'am." "Oh," I said, "but when I said rubber, you understood it." She said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "What did you think I meant?" She said, "Something you buy in the drugstore, ma'am." So I went up she wasn't going to tell me. So I went up to the drugstore and I found out some of you were nodding and some of you were looking puzzled. Well, I feel like she did. I don't know how to explain it. A rubber to the Americans is some kind of male contraceptive. I think that's clear. Yes. So when you go to America, don't ask for a rubber if what you want is an eraser. Otherwise, you will actually get confused. Now, the next thing that confused me in the department store was my husband said he wanted to buy some socks and some pants and he'd meet me upstairs. So I went upstairs and I found the socks and then I looked around for the pants. I couldn't see them. And I went up to an assistant and I said, "Can you tell me where the men's pants are?" And she pointed over to a load of trousers. And I thought, what is the matter? You know, is this woman sort of half-witted? What is the matter? I said pants quite clearly, and she shows me these trousers. So we went through this. I tried it with 3 different assistants, and I got the same result. Eventually, we managed to buy what we wanted. I met up with my husband, thank goodness, although he did ask why I was so late, because I'd had these 2 delays, the one with the eraser and the other with the pants. Then I discovered that what the British call pants, the Americans call underpants. And what we call trousers, they call pants. Well, maybe you think it doesn't really matter to you, but I went to a Toastmasters International speech contest, and the main speech had a whole section all about somebody who was talking about wet pants. And I was in hysterics because they were talking about being in the rain, getting wet trousers to me, but to me it sounded like they'd wet themselves. So I was in absolute hysterics. So watch out for the pants. So far, so bad. Then I went to Australia, more embarrassment. There's a big sign that says no thongs. So I went into the bar And the barman says to me, "Excuse me, madam, you're wearing thongs." I said, "No, I'm not." He says, "Yes, you are." And I thought, how does he know what underwear I'm wearing? Because to me, thongs are what used to be called G-strings. They're sort of that shape at the back. And he said, "You are wearing thongs." I said, "What?" He said, "Yes, on your feet, you have thongs." "Oh," I said, "flip-flops." "Flip-flops?" "Yes," I said, "we call these flip-flops." He said, "Yes, we call them thongs." Okay, so, my accent's gone a bit, but never mind. Then I had an even worse trouble with sex. I went into a shop to buy some donuts, and the man was about to close up at lunchtime, and he had half a dozen donuts there, and I said, "I think I'll have 4 donuts, please." And he says, 4 donuts, and he weighed them out and gave them to me. Then he said, "Are you sure you wouldn't like sex?" I thought, bit early in the day for sex, isn't it? "I hardly know you. What would my husband say? Where are you planning to do it?" And I said, I didn't like to turn him down, and I didn't know quite what to say. So I said, "Maybe tomorrow, not today, maybe another time." So then he said to me, "Well, I'm closing now, so I'll just charge you the same and give you the sex." And I looked at the bag and there were 6 donuts, and I suddenly thought, the New Zealanders, when they say 6, they say sex. You see, there's people, their teeth closed like this and they say 6. So watch out if somebody offers you what you think is sex. They're not offering you sex, they're offering you 6. And this is from somebody who speaks fluent English. So I can't imagine what happens to those of you who don't. You must be in even more trouble than I am. Now, of course, there are other languages which cause equal problems, but I think English is the most difficult language, because even if you speak English, you've got to watch out for one last thing. Somebody said, to show gratitude, you must offer thanks. And he was a man from the army. And I thought, why offer thanks? But what of course he meant was thanks. So let me finish by saying, I would like to offer you my thanks, not tanks, thanks.
Great job, Angela. 7 minutes, 29 seconds, 0.98.
That's because she didn't have sex.
Yeah, she didn't stop for the sex. Otherwise, it was. That is hilarious. So is that true, Brian, about that rubber and that tongue and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think in a way that the most people, at least around New York, would say condoms instead of rubber or some other things. But that's even English in US has different flavors. And when I when I visited Boston, I have trouble understanding some of their words or the way they pronounce things. For example, Harvard University. We think of it as Harvard University, but in Boston, it was Harvard. So, yeah, the same happened with me when I was in Sydney, because in Sydney, nobody says Sydney, it's Sydney. So here you go. There's language, there's American language, there's British English, there's American English, there's New York English and Boston English versus maybe Alabama English versus Florida English. So it's all confusing, but at the same time, it's charming because everybody speaks the same language, but quite differently. But I could throw in one of my jokes about speaking English in Australia, because I live in Australia. I live in Australia for about 2 years. And the very first time I was sick and yeah, out of some cold. And the next day I was in school and one of my classmates asked me, Brian, are you going to the hospital to die? No, I said, no, I'm not going to the hospital to die. I'm going to I said, no, and my classmate said, no, I didn't say to die. I said to die. I couldn't hear the difference. I'm sorry.
When I was a little boy in Singapore, 1965, I still remember it like today. We were down at the harbor and we went to get our fingerprints taken for our ID card. And it was my mum, my younger sister, myself. We were ushered to the front being white and we were given our fingerprints. And then we sat down and we have smudgy fingers, black fingers. And the guy gave us a piece of paper, just a scrap piece of paper. But as you know, for those that live in Singapore, everything is in 3 languages, yeah? English, Hindi, and Cantonese or Malay, whatever. And he said, here, this is for your tums. And we're saying, for our what? Our tums? And we're looking for somewhere to go wash our fingers, yeah? No, for your tums. And we're reading the message on the back of the paper. And it was complete gobbledygook. It meant nothing at all. And we're looking at it thinking, what do they want us to do? And he said, no, for your tums. What? And then he got a piece of paper and he said, rub it on your fingers, get rid of it. And he goes, oh, okay, your thumbs. Well, that was so funny. I mean, that was a real Monty Python sketch.
Thank you, Angela. That was so funny. Okay, let's get Angelina back. Angelina, can you hear me? Angelina? Yeah. You got shut off. We couldn't hear you after a while. Would you like to start again?
Okay.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen. Charan. Okay, Charan is logging in. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Angelina from Indonesia. Angelina, please.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. And also good morning. What food for women? Today is International Women's Day, the most amazing women. I know we are celebrating the social, economic, culture, political achievement for women. Imagine a gender equal world, over free of stereotype and discrimination, over that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. Also a world where different are valued and celebrated. Together, we can forge and women equality, take action, drive gender parity. And every year, 100 women's accomplishment raise awareness about the gender. Why? A woman. As well as promote a global support for women, the purpose of day to upload achievement in every science, recognize challenges, and focus greater attention on women rights and gender, especially for digital innovation and technology for women, attending a course, calling loved one, making a bank transaction, and sometimes for women, driving truck, container, everything currently goes through a digital process. However, 37% of women do not use the internet. And 259 million fewer women has access to the internet than men, even though they account for nearly half and world population in the world. If women are unable to access the internet and do not feel safe online, they are unable to develop the necessary digital skill to engage digital spaces, which is the dismiss their opportunity to pursue career in STEM. You know STEM? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Related field by for the next year, 2050. 75% a job will be related to the STEM areas. Yet for today, women has hold just 22% of position in artificial intelligence, to name just one. In Indonesian, women can be driver, magician, president, minister, and mom, daughter, sister, and etc. And the job lead for seminar, champion for government, and sometimes can be prince. Ladies and gentlemen, in the world, women is very important, multi-talented, and also can be helped from the small things until the bigger. Bringing women into technology result in the more creative solution and has greater potential for innovations to meet that women need for the promote gender equality. Their lack of inclusion, by contrast, come with massive costs. In the United Nations observed, or in now, International World Day, digital education is very important things. The observer will explore then the impact of digital gender, then gap on the wedding economic qualities. Ladies and gentlemen, remember that STEM, social, technology, engineering, and mathematics. For the color, historical purple for women was the color that denoted justice and dignity, and now is used to represent women. Green is a symbol of hope. Today, purple is the color of International Women's Day. As a combine with the green represent the feminist movement. And what is the symbol? The symbol is heart and also the flower. Thank you and over to you.
I'm glad to finally see your face and the flower as well. Well done. You took 6 minutes for the, so you actually have 1 more minute to go. Now, some feedback for you, Angelina. From me personally, I felt you really do select a very relevant topic today. And that is an important part of any speech is a topic selection. It is relevant to us today, and it is in fact very important that all of us work towards gender equality, especially for me here in Singapore. it's so important to maximize the ability or the use of all the resources, especially human resources. So gender equality will bring about greater utilization of resources and fairness to everyone in Singapore. So that's the first strength that you have. The other second one is your sense of conviction, meaning you believe in your message and it come across very clearly when I listen to you. So your conviction is very important. Area for improvement, I feel I can benefit better if you share some stories. Your approach appear to me to be like preaching, advocating a point of view. So it's assertions and assertions, but I feel if you give me a little bit of stories to support the assertions I'm making, then it would really be very good. Example would be the STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Maybe you can share some stories of people who have gone through the program and how these ladies can actually make an impact to society. So I think that storytelling will add to our better grasp of the concept that you have shared with us. Now I invite others to share their observation. Who would like to share something with Angelina? Angela, you're staring intently at the screen. There's something flowing through your brain.
I very much liked the flower and the color, and I'm wondering if they could be made more central to the message. Like maybe they were and I missed it because that's all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Angela.
In essence.
You are right. You're right about the video, the few seconds of video with the flower was very impactful. I was really drawn to it. Maybe Coach Raja would like to share a few words of wisdom.
No, I think Ben, you covered everything in her speech exhaustively. Angelina, I think I like the way one specific quality is you're stressing on the right words when you're speaking, which is very important. Of course, I'm scared to say anything about English language as long as the other Angelina is already here. Angela is here. So I'm scared to tell you comments on English language. And I think it's a very appropriate, as Ben said, apt to the topic, apt to the occasion. Now, if you want to make, why do we give speeches? We give speeches so that we are sharing our experience with others. So probably if you had a story, as Ben said, now what speech you gave is more informative, and it's also very taxing for you that you have to look at the entire script and things. But if you share it like a story, facts tell, stories sell. So it will be there with us for a very long time to come. So try this out. Ultimately, why are we in public speaking? To make an impact to the society. Now that can only happen when you have stories to back it up and your personal stories. Well done. I see a lot of potential in you. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you, Coach Raju. Thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone else who have a speech that you want to present tonight? If not, we are close to 9:30, which is our targeted time to end the meeting.
I just have one comment for other Angela's speech.
Please.
No, like I really admire her. You know, this speech, I'm hearing it for the third time. But the enthusiasm and the energy which is coming out of her, which is delivering the speech, is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I like the way it is. And you started off with the conflict right in the starting. What puzzles me, you know, like the conflict was established right in the starting of the speech. Excellent. However, momentarily, I would like to have a few suggestions for your consideration, which is now the structure of the speech is extremely important, because you said that, okay, you're from UK, you came to US, and what problems? Don't say it. Name it like a day in an office. It's one of those days, something like that, where you go through this experience. And what is the message in the speech? The message in the speech is that, well, before you're going to any country, do your research, find out how they are. Otherwise, you'll end up like me. You know, that could probably be the message. So the structuring, you know, if it could be, don't say the climax right in the starting. You know, and you can add I think it comes under the category of humorous speech. So you can say that, okay, now your conclusion could be something like, I'm going to go with 6 donuts for the rubber. Something like, you know, like you leave the audience in, you know, something like that. Yeah. Okay. But wonderful speech. I like your enthusiasm. I like your expressions and your gestures, you know, which is excellent. Over to Bante.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Raju. I agree with you absolutely, because Angela has a very strong visual appeal. So when people see your face, they like you. And that's a tremendous advantage. If I were competing with you, you look at my face, the judges will give you 50 marks more than me, you know. So you must make full use of that. No, you must make full use, yeah, because you have a very appealing smile, very warm disposition. So make full use of that. Brian, is there any closing remarks before we sign off?
No, I think this works fine.
Okay.
Laughter and humor, and thanks to Dunstan for that very detailed workshop presentation about humor and the humorous speech.
Okay, in that case, I thank all of you for joining us this evening, and we look for thank you for sharing as well. I think the meeting is not just about Dunstan presenting or Angela presenting, it's also each of you bring value to the speech as well. So I learned from each and every one of you. So thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Oh, Raju, don't forget to give me the information on that design thinking workshop.
I'll ask Dunstan to send it to you.
Yeah, I need the Zoom link and stuff so that I can.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
give me a short write-up on the design thinking itself so that I can promote it. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you. Lovely meeting as ever.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.